We need to fill this thing with epoxy, so the first thing that we need to do is to add a seal coat into those inlays. Now the reason I'm doing this is because we're going to be adding some darker colors with that epoxy. And if I don't do this, there's a chance that the end grain on those inlays will suck up some of that darker colored epoxy and stain the wood. I'm also going to take my hot glue gun and create a couple of dams so that the two colors with this inlay won't run together. And for this pour, I'm going to be using some liquid glass epoxy, which I've had some success with in the past. By adding parts A and B together, I just give it a mix for about 5 minutes. And to add some color to this epoxy, I'll just be using some resin dye. So I'll first divide out the epoxy into two containers, one for blue and one for black. Then I can just add some dye and just mix it together until I get the right color I'm looking for. And unfortunately, this dye just wasn't doing the trick, so I had to add some mica powder just so that you couldn't see through the epoxy. But after adding the mica powder and the dye, I finally got the look I was going for, so I could begin the pouring process. And once I got that blue in, I could add the second batch of black to the writing. And after a quick pass with the torch, I could get rid of those bubbles and let the epoxy cure, which took about 72 hours, but when I came back, I was pretty pleased with the results. So it was just a matter of sanding everything down flush to the wood. And for future reference, I probably should have removed that hot glue with a chisel first, as the heat from that sanding just reactivated that glue and made it so it stuck to everything on the panel. But after scraping it off with my finger, I was able to get back to sanding and get that epoxy down to the wood level. And I'm so glad I put that sealer down, as all the lines were very crisp. And by taking a rag and adding a little bit of water, you can see what the final product will look like.